believer of Christ, husband, father, son, gardener, chef, pastor, and friend. There are many words that one can use to describe Pastor Stanley Martin Phinn, but they all can be summed up into two: faithful and determined.
But on that day, when the king called our name, the Canada, we have to answer for ourselves. Shall we bless the Lord? So no matter what happened, let me ready, listen, waiting, and do right. That's when we name call, we can boldly answer. Present, here am I. So we bless the Lord.
From the early years of his life, our dad, or simply Big Phinn, never allowed anything or anyone to stop him from doing what it was he put his mind to do, whether good or bad. Born on a sunny Tuesday on December 29, 1953, in the hills of Robertsfield, St. Andrew, Jamaica, to the late Eccleston Boy Phinn and the late Alberta Nomelia Beatrice Garnett Phinn, Stanley's home was surrounded by numerous tropical delights, varieties of mangoes, sugarcane, pear, jelly, grapefruit, Guinness, and the famous Blue Mountain coffee, to name a few. But he did not spend his days lounging and eating. From early on, Stanley learned the value of hard work. An offspring of a farming family, young Stanley was put to work as soon as he was able, carrying water from the local river spot, Postdown, cutting grass, caring for animals, finding wood to make fire. He did it plus some. His dad, Boy Phinn, a farmer who also sold flowers to hotels throughout the island, was very tough on his children and did not believe in sparing the rod. Stanley, even though finding himself on the receiving end of Boy's rod on a regular basis, attributed his father to stressing the importance of staying out of bad company. His mom, Alberta, better known as Juicy for her moist puddings, was called upon on many occasions to cater weddings and dances. Stanley stuck to his mother and wanted to go wherever she went, his first love, who taught him the importance of love. Stanley was not privileged to attend school on a regular basis, as school was not viewed as a priority. But his parents became his teachers, and the grounds of St. Andrew his lecture hall. It is while watching his parents that Stanley developed skills that allow him to support his family up to this day, both here in America and back home in Jamaica. Mas Boy was a true businessman, and by watching his father, Stanley not only grew up knowing how to make money, but the art of taking $1 and turning it into 1,000. His mother's ability to take little to nothing and create meals large enough for a family of 12 is so ingrained in Stanley that when he cooks for just his family of 6, an entire neighborhood can be fed. His skills have allowed Stanley to be called upon to cater parties, church functions, weddings, and funerals. And he's always complimented on his mannish water and the jerk pork. By working alongside his parents on acres upon acres of land, Stanley developed a green thumb that to this day he used every summer to yield a beautiful, bountiful field of callaloo with regular patrons who put in order weeks in advance. Stanley's upbringing was no bed of roses, and he grew tough. Gambling, smoking, drinking, partying is how he spent his time. Although his lifestyle was careless to some, no one dared to get on his bad side. He spoke hard, and if anyone crossed him, his knife was never too far away. On the night he decided to end a rival's life, God sent an angel in the form of Pastor Tusa to rescue him from sin. With his weapon of choice in his pocket, Stanley walked past Pilgrim Church of God, Hall's Delights, and heard the foreign voice of a Bermudan preacher call out, "There's a young man that needs to be saved." That night, Stanley dropped the knife, the rum, the ganja, and accepted Jesus into his life. Stanley was baptized in the famed Yalis River in Crossville by the late Pastor Hedley Campbell of the Pilgrim Church of God, Robertsfield, and began to worship alongside his mother, 3 brothers, and 6 sisters. Stanley was faithful and did not allow anything, even holes in his only pair of shoes, to stop him from attending church. In April 1986, Brother Phinn's faithfulness was rewarded, and he was ordained as Exalter Phinn. Patrick McCarty, minister at that time, was a part of the executive board that ordained him, and he also stood beside him 6 years earlier, serving as his godfather as he married his queen. The road to the altar for Stanley was not an easy one, however. After surveying the roses in God's garden, Stanley's eyes rest upon Miss Pearline in Minor Parks, former schoolmate, and the one whom he used to provoke often. But Stanley was determined to win her heart. Pearline, better known as Minor, was freshly back from visiting Canada, and Stanley, so excited, walked over to her and said, "I have something to ask you, but you don't have to answer yet. I would like you to marry too." Minor thought, "The fighter? No, sir," and replied, "Minor no," and walked away. Minor, who was living in Kingston by this time, only came to country during weekends, and would do her best to dodge him after service in order not to answer the question. But finally she realized he was the one that God ordained for her, and she said yes. Respectfully, Stanley went to Minor's parents, Naomi Loretta Parks and the late Vincent T. Parks, and requested her hand in marriage. Of course, they said yes. Stanley was overjoyed, but just a few days later, his home caught fire and he lost everything. Fearful that Minor would not marry him because he didn't have nothing, Stanley traveled to Florida on farm work and sent her a letter requesting her ring size. Minor did not respond at all, but Stanley did not give up. On his return to Jamaica, a ring was bought and a date set. On Wednesday, August 27, 1980, Stanley joined hands and heart with the woman of his dream. Before about 15 bridesmaids and 0 groomsmen, the pair said, "I do." This union birthed 4 children, 2 boys, Andy and Brenton, 2 girls, Nichelle and Shanika. Currently, the family has grown to include daughter-in-law Darlene, grandson Aiden, granddaughter Adrielle. From his eldest daughter, Rona or Nadine Hall, grandson Anthony, granddaughter Jodianne, and on January 15, 2015, Pastor Phinn welcomed his first great-grandson, Zamani Aiden Hall. Stanley grew his children strict and in the Word of God. Respect was key in his home. After migrating permanently to the U.S. in the early 90s, Stanley continued to work hard, waking up before 4 a.m. each morning and sometimes not reaching home until midnight. As he traveled on bus, train, and foot to Brooklyn College, where he has worked faithfully for over 20 years, rarely taking a sick day. But Stanley made up on his mind that his children would lack nothing. Stanley, who did not have much education, is overly proud and constantly speaks of his skills, talents, and brains of his children. Stanley never left out God. Wherever he went, he spoke of the miracle that worked in the cornfield of his life. Now a devoted member of All Nation United Church of God, he served first on the deacon board, and then on January 15, 2012, he was ordained as the host pastor and have proven himself to be a natural at collecting money from people for the upbringing and uplifting of God's kingdom.
In the name of your
Stanley
Son,
is a man that has opened his heart, wallet, and home to family, friends, and church brethren. Whenever he traveled back home to Jamaica, which is yearly, him by himself would carry 3 carry-on, 3 check luggage, and 3 personal items, not for himself and not just for his blood relatives, but for those in the community in Robertsville. Stanley has donated countless musical instruments to the church and helped countless others. Today, he endeavors to assist the children of his home community get one thing he was not privileged to obtain: a good education. Pastor Phinn is a true example of Ecclesiastic 9:10. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might.
Describing no other person than Pastor Stanley Phinn.
Daddy, your life proves that God does not look at the education or the eloquence of words.
We thank you. We love you.
And we
appreciate you.
But because of your heart, because of your faithfulness, because of your determination, you have been elevated over your qualifications. From the farm to the gambling house and now to the pulpit. A true man of God, a true father, a true friend, a true husband, a true example. Your life speaks volumes for itself. Thank you for being you, for all you have done, for all you're doing, the foundation you have laid, the life you live. May God bless you always. 1 Timothy 5:17 said, "Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine." You have undoubtedly ruled your home well, and this is why we honor you tonight. God bless you. We love you, Daddy.